Good morning, good afternoon, good whatever the hell you want it to be. What is up, hermits? How are you? We're back again for another podcast, another one. DJ Khaled up in this bitch. Another one. I'm having some troubles. I'm having some troubles with Actually, you know what? I'm not going to talk about it because I'm pretty sure you guys will know what I'm having troubles with. The mic fight. Matsen versus the mic. Yeah, we're getting there. I keep trial and error things. Like, trial and error has always been pretty much my method of recording and, recording voice and stuff like that. So, having some troubles with that second mic. Far out, if I had $1 for every time I said second mic on this channel, it's ridiculous. No, but it's good. I like having this sort of stuff, and recently I've been putting a little bit more work into the YouTube side of things, like the video and stuff like that. I feel like it's a really positive thing that you guys get to see. Whether you listen to it on Spotify, you listen to it on iTunes, you can see me as well, and I feel like it's a little bit more interactive if I'm just speaking to the camera, so you guys can see me or you can hear me. And I think the biggest challenge for me right now is making sure that when I am speaking and when I'm speaking on camera, I'm not showing things. Like, for example, I think the other day I was doing facial expressions, which I realize now is probably the dumbest thing ever, because no one, if you're listening to an audio recording or something, you're not going to see the face, so it's all up to your imagination. So it's kind of ridiculous, but it's a tough tightrope to walk, and even down to film. If I have guests on, or when I have guests on, trying to find a method of filming that is going to be, fits in with my budget, because obviously I'm not going to buy another bloody U-Butte camera for something that I'm doing as a hobby. And then 2, you want it to be legit. Like, when people come in, you don't want them to be sitting for an example, you don't want them sitting in your kitchen. I mean, it could work, but so there's a lot of things that I'm dealing with to try and work around, because it is so new to me. So it's kind of good if you're someone who's watched from the very beginning. And it's funny that I say that, because the very beginning was 4 weeks ago. But I'm hoping you're seeing, with each podcast, the quality's getting better and better. And I don't know. So even though there hasn't been any guests or anything like that, I hope you're enjoying just seeing the improvement. It'll be funny in I don't know, if this keeps going for in a year's time, you can be like, oh man, I remember when he was recording with that shitty mic and all you could see was a picture of his head on the YouTube channel. So if that's you in 1 year's time, thank you for listening over the course of an entire year, because that's a pretty good effort. I've actually been really into the news lately. So this is what happens. It is the last day of holidays. So usually when I go back to work, I'm kind of out of the loop with the news, because I'm got my head down, bum up, working as hard as I can. But I'm really into the news at the moment. I think it's indirectly though, and you got to take into consideration too, this is on Facebook. So if you read anything on Facebook, you may as well put your head through a drywall, because you can't, there's confirmation bias, there's biased writers, there's biased news organizations, there's the clickbait articles. You're pretty much, it's like a minefield of shit pretty much, and it's really hard to decipher what's real, what's not, what's clickbait, what's not. So it's tough, but I saw a news article, and I don't want to be one of these channels that is talking about current events all the time, but I feel like when there's news articles like the ones I'm going to talk about, you start to wonder what kind of state is the world in at this point in time. 2 articles I got, they're kind of polar opposites, but they really put into perspective where the world's going at the moment, and pretty much how fucking soft, one of them is how fucking soft the world is. One of them's how is it even possible in 2019 to have something like this happen? But the first article I want to talk about, and I will pop it up, it'll pop up right there. hopefully. I can do that now. That was a skill that I learned not long ago. But the news, it was a news story done by 7 News, and it was titled "More Young People Than Ever Are Presenting to Physiotherapists with Head and Posture Problems from Device Overuse." From device overuse. And I think the article, maybe I can get a screenshot of it, maybe I can't, but it doesn't really matter because half of you are listening to this on Spotify. Once again, remember, I'll bring it back. I'm still working that tightrope of what you guys can see and what you can't see. So, like, if ever I say something, you're like, I can't fucking see that, Matsen, just hit me up on Instagram or something, be like that. Be like, pull your bloody head in your tit. But, yeah, so kids or even adults are getting back problems and posture problems from over usage of devices. Like, in other words, people can't put their phones fucking down, and now they're getting back problems from it. So, I mean, I don't understand how, and it's mainly kids. So I don't know if maybe times have changed now, maybe parenting techniques are different now, but I remember when I was young, I was not allowed to be on a computer or a phone for longer than 2 hours max. Like, if I was gaming on PS2 for more than 2 hours, I get a little clip around the ears, like, go outside, kick a ball around, go do something active. Like, what are you doing inside? But to think, I'm pretty sure on the news article, the girl was playing Maze Runner. Who's playing Maze Runner for that many hours that their posture's literally fucked? And parents are trying to find ways to mitigate the problem. Wouldn't you just take the kid's phone? If they're 13 or 12 or 11, 12, 13, what are they going to be doing on their phones that's so important that you're going to let them have their phone for that long? Wouldn't you just take the phone away? Why is a kid on their phone for so long that they actually get back problems? Just from having their head down like this. I swear, if my kid was on their phone that much, I'd be taking that phone away and being like, nah, 1 hour, I'm putting it on the clock, go run around, go get on your bike or something for an hour and just go away, go do something active, get out of the freaking house, save your back, Jesus Christ. And then there's people are saying they feel powerless against taking these devices away. This is the problem with Fortnite. All these people are coming on news and stuff like that and being like, oh, how do we mitigate the risks of people being addicted to Fortnite? Just turn the fucker off. Just literally turn it off. I play Fortnite too, and I don't think there's ever been a time where if it got turned off, I'd be like, my life is ending. It's every kid nowadays is the World of Warcraft kid. If you've ever seen the video where he comes in and he goes, and the brother sets up a camera in his room. I think it's faked actually, but still, it's relevant. And they just goes ape shit about how his mum deleted his World of Warcraft account. The amount of times I've just, my mum turned my Pokemon game off, and that's a big deal. If you've ever played Pokemon, if you don't save Pokemon, you're not getting that back. And I was playing 4 hours at a time, doing gym leaders and stuff. So as soon as that gets taken away from you, gone. But then to blame, people are blaming Apple or blaming Epic Games or blaming. People always love to blame. I don't think anyone, the skill, I don't even know if it's a skill. I call it a skill now because not many people can do it, of just putting your hand up and being like, I fucked up. I stuffed up. Yep, it's my fault. It's my bad that my back's bad. It's my bad that my child's back's bad because I couldn't take the phone away. How is this this is a complete, pure example about how easy life is now. Literally, we have nothing to complain about. What is there to complain about? There's always food on the table. Minimum wage is there. We have nothing to complain about. So we have to create these problems for ourselves. Just take the damn phone away. Kills me every time. When I confiscate a phone at school, it's like I've shot the kid in the chest. Kids, they're like, this is it. I'm done. My phone's gone. What am I going to do? And then you kind of get the excuses of like, I need to call. It's like, you probably do need that, but every time I check and you're sitting there on Instagram, on Maze Runner, or on even Fortnite now, it's ridiculous. But like, I'm all for devices. I love my phone more than, I probably love my phone more than most. That's how I get literally all my information. Like, I'm sitting down, I'm like a new age old man. I'll sit outside, and instead of reading the paper and having a coffee, I'll be having a coffee and scrolling through like Facebook articles or something like that, which, like I said, you know, it's like a minefield. You never know what you're going to get. But it's scary that kids are at a point now where this is a problem. Like, it used to be like, you used to get my biggest concern from my mum was like me breaking my arm on my bike or something. Like, I'd go over a jump too fast, or I don't know, maybe I was a pretty sporty kid, so this is coming from one end of the spectrum. But nowadays, parents are more worried about that. Like, one of the genuine concerns they have to have are like, is my child's scoliosis going to be stuffed up because they're on their phone for 4 hours a day, like playing, I don't know, whatever kids play, like Candy Crush, I don't know. But that's worrying. That is so worrying. But so that's one of the articles. When I read that article, I couldn't, it just, man, like I'm literally kind of speechless that this is a problem now, that this is actually a problem in the world, that we're spending too much time on our phones. Like, it's such a first world problem. Kills me. Just confiscate the phone. I don't know. Do something. Just turn the TV off. Like, it's not hard. The amount of houses, like when I'm walking along the river, I literally see kids just sit, like, it's like the era of kids running around. I had a conversation with my mates last night as we were driving home from trivia. Yeah, we did trivia. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. The trivia host was kind of a lemon. But and we were just talking about how things are so different now. Like, I think my mate, he just moved into a new house, and the neighbours, their daughter kind of came over to the house to say hello. And like, you know, back in the day, that was something where you would be like you go over to your neighbour's house. Like, I remember I could almost go over unannounced, just knock on the door, like, "G'day, how you going?" Going in, and like, we're here, we're in the backyard playing cricket or something. But it was a real obvious change in the world and in mindset when we thought that was quite weird, that she came over and she said hello and she was patting the dog and everything like that. Like, that was odd, but that used to be the norm. So somewhere along, and it's only been in my life, I'm 24, so it's only been in that time, and it's like, what has changed between that time that has been like such a change in the way, like, I think it's like a cultural change. Like, it's such a cultural change in that, like, you don't have the kids riding around on their bikes anymore. You don't have I remember the days when you were on the road and you used to set up 2 bins, play cricket, and a car used to come, you used to rush over, grab the bins, grab the ball, and like sit on the side, and you give old mate a wave that's driving past. Like, that shit doesn't happen anymore. And I'm starting to wonder, like, what is the root cause of that? Like, I do think social media is a big point in it, and even just like I think we live in a very paranoid society, paranoid by, it's been fueled by like articles on social media, like about, you know, obviously that there are dangers, like there are some sick fucks out there that, you know, it is dangerous, but it's like the shark attack thing, like. I used to go in the water, go surfing, and I used to never even stress about, like, sharks were the furthest thing on my mind, but because I see all these articles about shark attacks and shark sightings, like, you get paranoid. You're like, shit, could this be the day that I get my legs taken off? And so it's odd. It's definitely a different time, and as someone who's getting closer and closer, Kia's gonna love this one, closer and closer to that age of, you know, closer and closer to that age of where kids is becoming like it's on, like, I've got mates now that they've got 1 and 2 year olds, like, so it's getting to that point where I have to think about that. I have to think about how am I going to navigate this minefield of things that could possibly harm or annoy or do anything to your kids. It's a weird one. And I mean, I'm not one to talk because I don't have a kid. I teach kids, and I'm like, I take my job, even though I say this all the time, even though I come off as a bit of a clown or something, I take my job very, very seriously. I love my job. I love everything to do with teaching. I love seeing the growth in the kids, all that sort of stuff. That I'm very, very passionate about that. And a lot of people get a bit taken back because I am a bit of like a fuckhead, but it's something that I'm really passionate about. So to be a parent in that situation, then it is quite difficult. I'm not saying it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. Like when I say the whole, I'll turn the TV, like there's obviously ways you need to go about it, but it is very, it's crazy. It's quite nerve-wracking to think about, you know, as a young adult. The other article I was looking at, segueing into things to worry about when you are a young adult, and I saw this one, literally, it kind of sparked my interest in doing this podcast. Sorry, I'm on my phone. I've actually got all my articles like saved on my phone because I do that because I'm a legitimate podcaster now. Not really. I just need shit to talk about. But yeah, it is breaking. Like today, North Korea announced it has just test fired a new type of missile. I laugh at that, but fuck. Who let Kim Jong-un do whatever the fuck who let that happen? Like, the only thing, did anyone, like, I'm asking, it's like a rhetorical question, but it's like Age of Empires, like, or Sims. You know when you got to a certain point in your Sim City and you were just like, fuck this, let's burn this motherfucker to the ground. That's actually legit. Like, that's what he's doing. He literally has, he's literally a child in a man's body that has access to nuclear weapons. Like, it's 2019 and this shit happens. Just think about that. There is a severely unstable human being that is in charge of an entire nation of they're deprived of like simple like human resources, and the guy who runs the country lives in a fucking castle and has access to nuclear weapons. It sounds like a shitty sitcom. Like, it sounds like a plot to something that the bloke that makes Big Bang Theory would write about. Like, it's so heinously out there that if you saw it on paper, like if I showed you, if you had no idea what was going on in the world, and I showed you on paper, like unstable man runs a country of humans who are deprived of a whole multitude of things, but lives in a castle and has access to every sort of resource he could actually want. Like, he could wake up in the morning and say, I want a nuclear power bomb thing. And all of a sudden, one will show up on his doorstep. Jesus Christ. That's the world we live in at the moment, and there's nothing we can do about it. Like, I mean, everyone hates on Trump. I think he's a tit. 100%. I don't really know, but, you know, at the same time, we don't know much. I have noticed that, no, I haven't noticed it, but people who don't know much about politics love to comment on a leader based on their personality, which is fair because nowadays it's like they live in the Twitterverse. Like, they live Twitter, Facebook. You see an insight into their personality. Like, I honestly think Barack Obama was probably one of the first presidents to, you know, really take social media to the next level. And then Donald Trump's kind of come in and then just taken that. Like, we literally have like a meme lord running America. But then, you know, back to that, like, he did kind of play chicken with, you know, North Korea, and I don't know, probably solved a few issues, but, you know, and then you see something like this, like Kim Jong-un bloody launches a test missile, like, just, you know, when you have like, you used to have those rockets when you were younger and they'd like go in an air pipe and you just fucking, and you pump on the air and it just go, like, he's literally doing that with real nuclear weapons. And, you know, it could be like, yeah, they shoot it into the ocean and it's fine. Like, that shit still probably shouldn't be in the air ever, like anywhere. So to see an article like that, and I've seen the comments under it, because, you know, I read a lot of Facebook comments because I'm a deadbeat human being. Like, everyone's kind of having like a laugh about it, which is fair. I had a laugh about it too. And then you're like, but it's a fucking nuclear weapon. Like, that's dangerous, kind of. So, and I mean, if he's, who's to stop him? Who in North Korea is going to put their hand up and go, yeah, probably a shit idea? It's like, yeah, you're fucked. Get out. You're dead. Like, that's, holy shit. Like, that happens. It's terrifying. But that's 2019. That's 2019, where kids get back problems from handheld devices, and Kim Jong-un's setting off nuclear weapons for fun. I wish that was a joke, but that's actually fucking legit. So it'd be interesting, you know, it's kind of like we're in our own TV show, really. Like, you know, back in the old days, they had like the Great Depression and all that sort of stuff. You know, we're living through like this social media era of the world. Like, this is, I'm curious to see in 20 years, when I'm still teaching, what am I going to be teaching in history? Like, I mean, I've started I created a subject for my school at this moment, and it's a subject that I'm really, really, really passionate about, because I think it's super important. It's called the social influences. So the social influences is basically, I'm teaching kids how to navigate social media, essentially. It's not a safety course, but it's how to like view social media in a different light. So obviously we do studies on like Instagram influencers, YouTube influencers, stuff like that. And we actually speak about, okay, what makes this video good? Who's their target market? Are these things that they're talking about, like, do they find current relative things that they know they're going to get traction? And it's really, really, really awesome seeing a group of year 7 students, so 12-year-olds, being able to navigate through YouTube and go, oh, they're being sponsored by this person, their target audience is this person. It's definitely, went off on a bit of a tangent there, but it's definitely something that I think is really, really awesome. So, and with all this stuff going on, like this information overload, giving kids the tools to actually deal with this information overload is super important. So, oh man, I promised myself I wouldn't start talking about my job, but I ended up doing it. But yeah, so I think that sort of stuff is super, super important. So, you know, seeing these 2 news articles, it's really like, it's both on different areas of the spectrum, but really come back and relate to pretty much how like fucked up the world is at the moment, and how we really need to learn how to navigate through these different things. But other than that, I don't want to talk, it's, for me personally at the moment, I've been doing a lot of research on like YouTube and podcasts and stuff like that, and I'm trying to navigate myself around not being like a cliche podcaster YouTuber where I just talk about news and I talk about this and so, you know, I hope you guys don't get bored by the shit that I talk about. Like, obviously I talk about a few silly things, but I do have a bit of, a lot of interest in like what goes on in the actual world. So seeing articles like that really makes me go, you know, I really want to talk about this sort of stuff. So as much as I don't want to be that like cliche YouTuber podcast dude, I still want to sort of commentate on these sorts of things, because I'm like, my biggest aim is kind of putting light on like how crazy some of these stories are, that they actually exist. Like the spinal problem ones due to devices, I can't believe that exists. Like, that would have never, ever, ever been a problem, like, even 10 years ago. And it just shows, like, what we're kind of breeding into kids at the moment, which is crazy. So please, if you have a kid or you have a niece, nephew, whatever, like, try your best to not let them be on their phones 24/7. I mean, Easter's coming up, so if you're going to a family barbecue, set up a cricket game. Do something that's not on our phones. And I think a big thing around that too, and I speak to Kira about this all the time, because we're both pretty notorious for it, because, you know, I'm really into social media. I love seeing it. I follow a lot of like awesome influencers. Like, for example, you know, the clothing that I wear is a guy called Steen Jones, who is like really, really motivational. He's a street artist. So seeing stuff like that makes me want to be a better person. So there is positives to social media, but there's definitely negatives. Like, there's times where Kira and I'll be sitting on the couch. We've sat there for 30 minutes scrolling through our phones and not once did we talk to each other. So we're both making a conscious effort to put the fucking phones down, essentially. And yeah, it's weird times we live in, man. It's weird times. And you know the irony around all this? The irony around all this is you guys are either watching me on YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. So, and I have an Instagram account. So, you know, I'm sitting here pretty much banging my head against the wall, like, what do I do? How do I stay off social media, but then also have, you know, like, use it properly? So I think motto of the story is based on, I kind of went around, oh man, that wasn't a rant. I wouldn't call that a rant. That was probably just my opinion on the whole phone thing as I was looking at my phone to check out those articles. I think we're all walking contradictions when you really think about it. Like, we realistically are walking contradictions. Like, even me, you know, being a vegan, yet I still have a car, you know? That's so true. So it's crazy. It's really crazy. And yeah, so we're just out here trying to do our best, trying to navigate through life. And I think we all have our own battles, definitely our own battles and shit like that. Holy crap. I've already done 27 minutes. It's crazy how easy these things go when you're just really into it, Anyway, guys, I hope you please check out those articles if you want to have a better look. I'll leave the links to the articles in the description below. If you are listening to this on Spotify, you wouldn't have seen me point down below, and I'm glad you didn't do that because that's really cheesy and corny. If you are listening on Spotify, go check out the YouTube channel if you want to, if you want to get a better knowledge. And, you know, it may be something. I know I'm one person, I love to put a podcast on the TV and like having that on, and I kind of do that but more than TV now. So I'm hoping that this ugly mug can fit on your TV if you are watching on your TV. But if you are watching on Spotify and iTunes, I really, really appreciate it, because those ones are actually the easiest ones to upload because they're just the audio files from the recording. So I hope they're still interesting. I hope you're still, you know, getting through work. Might have made you think. Maybe you're having a bit of a boring morning and I've made you think about, holy shit, there might be a missile coming for us. So enjoy your day, because it might be your last. But I hope it's not, because this is super fun. Life's super fun. And as much as it's all doom and gloom, we're all here for a good time. So please keep that into consideration. Don't hate on vegans too much. Vegans, please don't protest all that much. Life is pretty awesome. So we should really be thankful for what we got. So guys, have a fantastic rest of your day, night, evening, weekend, holiday, bloody space mission, whatever you're on. Please be safe, please be kind, and stay awesome, hermits. Like that, I'm calling people hermits now. If you want me to stop that, just give me the finger or something. Alrighty guys, thank you so much. Have a fantastic whatever. Please subscribe if you want. I'm rambling now. I'll probably cut this off, but you know, peace out, gang.